Hello and welcome. I'm Robin Smith, trauma and relationship coach and founder of the Rock Your Relationship movement and the Rock Your Relationship Facebook group for women. And maybe you're finding me on YouTube or in my Facebook group, wherever you're finding me, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And today I'm talking about the 9 biggest communication mistakes and some tips about how to fix them. So check this out, pay close attention. We're going to move quickly. Number 1, and in no particular order, is blame. So blaming is when you are pointing the finger, looking for the source of the problem, usually out there, but sometimes in here. You're looking for the who's at fault, and you do it with a you statement or even pointing your finger, something like, you did this, it's your fault, you always do that, you need to change. So that's blame. And the problem with blame is that nobody likes to be blamed for things. And so if you're wanting to create a connection and you blame somebody, chances are you're going to create more distance. They're going to blame you back. They're going to make excuses. They're going to get defensive. There's going to be an argument. So blaming is a spiral down. It starts the spiral into disconnection. Second communication mistake is criticism. It's similar to blame, but instead of talking about their behavior, you're more likely talking about their qualities as a person. You're criticizing or degrading, demeaning who they are, their personality, their character. So you might be saying something like, you're a slob, you're an idiot, you're so stupid, you're such a child, things like this that are very demeaning to somebody. And as you can imagine, like when you blame, when you criticize, it's even a little harsher, it hurts more, and it's likely to cause more distance. Once again, you might get a counterattack back, you might get defensiveness, you might get an argument. But again, it starts that spiral down. Let's look at the third one, which is defensiveness. Defensiveness is a way to protect yourself. So if you are getting blamed or criticized, you're likely to put up a wall, to push back, to want to protect yourself, because blame and criticism do not feel good. And there's different ways to defend. You can defend by the counterattack, blaming back, criticizing back. You can defend by, I don't know what happened, so sort of playing innocent, not taking any responsibility. It must have been because of the traffic. It must have been because of something that happened at work. So not owning your part, making excuses of all different types, or sometimes defensiveness can just look like walking out of the room and not dealing with it at all. So again, when you're defending, you're creating distance, because of this protection that to me often feels like a wall, and it's going to just not bring you closer. If that's what you're seeking, you're going to get further apart. And then there's needing to be right. So the fourth one, needing to be right, might look like, we have to do it my way. This is the right way. It has to be like this. Why are you doing it like that? What are you thinking? Making the other person wrong. Again, it can look like criticism or blaming, but trying to one up, trying to win the situation, and trying to be right. So these tend to, again, create distance, because it can be a little hurtful, especially if you're making somebody wrong, and it creates a divide between you and the other person. Then there's number 5, being indirect. And being indirect is interesting because it's kind of passive. So it's not facing head on what's happening and addressing it directly. It's sort of, skirting around the edges, maybe avoiding the conversation, or maybe saying vague things like whatever, or okay, sounds good, but without directly addressing what's happening. Maybe it's being a little wishy-washy, or saying, sure, I could do that, versus yes, I will do that. So it's a little, again, vague and not clear. So there's likely to be confusion or lack of understanding when you're being indirect. Another one I have as number 6 is not listening attentively. And this is super common in our culture where we're multitasking, we're trying to do lots of things at the same time. And then when you do that, the other person doesn't feel heard. And so they're not likely to feel like you're following what they're saying, like you care, like you care enough to pay attention or to give them your full attention. And so they're likely to get upset with you or to stop talking because it doesn't feel good to talk to somebody who's not paying attention to what you're saying. What's the point? So this is a common communication mistake. Self-referencing is another one, and I've got that as number 7. So self-referencing looks like if somebody is talking about themselves, and instead of engaging them or asking them questions about their experience, you go right to your own experience. So you turn it to be about you. So you might say something like, oh yeah, me too. I had that very same thing happen to me. And you start talking about what happened to you. And so the other person just feels kind of cut off and like you're not really listening, or you're not that interested because you're making it all about you. So that is self-referencing. And then there's staying superficial. Excuse me. So I have that as number 8. Staying superficial is like party talk, chatting. Maybe it's talking about the weather, talking about your hairdo, or maybe it's complaining about other people. Maybe it's talking about your body. I walked into a situation with a couple of women today, and immediately the other woman walked in to where I was, and immediately she made all these comments about my body. And they were positive, but I was taken aback because I didn't feel, I felt kind of judged, like, you're this and I'm that. And she just was just completely focused on the appearance. And I didn't really feel like she was seeing me and who I am, or that interested in who I am. So that's what happens when you stay superficial, is you can't make a real connection with somebody. And then the last one, number 9 for now, and there are many other communication mistakes, by the way, but these are the top 9 that I've come up with, is not taking responsibility for your part in a situation. So if there's a situation, somebody's upset, and you make it all about what they did, again, with blame or criticism, or you simply just skirt the issue, step aside, don't admit your contribution to the dynamic, or you make excuses. Again, you may act like a victim in the situation. I don't know what happened. Something just happened. I don't know. Why did it happen? Could have been such and such. And you don't really tune into and discuss and share how you might have contributed. These are some examples of not taking responsibility. And then what happens is you end up, maybe someone feels offended, maybe they don't feel like you're participating, you're not fully stepping up as an adult. So it can create, at least for me and a lot of people, a feeling of distance once again, because you sort of like disappear. You're not really standing strong and, in a mature, grounded way. So many communication mistakes here. The basic tips, if I were to share a few, would be, as you can imagine, the opposite of what I said would be, and this responsibility piece is huge because it covers a lot of what I've already discussed. But when you take responsibility, you really own your part. It might look like, you're right, I realize I could have left earlier, or I realize I did interrupt you. So it doesn't have to be an apology, but it could include an apology, and at least acknowledging any part that you played in the situation. And people appreciate that because it's never one person completely. I shouldn't say never, but often it's two people who contribute to a dynamic. So, and just to briefly cover some of the other things, is that when you listen attentively, you're going to have a much better connection. When you give them your full attention, you're not multitasking. you're following what they're saying, maybe repeating back a little bit of what you heard. That's going to help. When you ask questions, instead of talking about your own experience all the time, if you let people know you're interested by asking them a deeper question, like, oh, how was that for you? Or what did that feel like? Or what did you say next? Then you're inviting them into more depth of their own experience. And also you're taking it out of yourself and that self-referencing that I was talking to, and really focusing on the other person. And I'm not saying you need to always do that, but when you tend to self-reference and always take it away from the other person, then it's really a beautiful gesture to turn towards them and offer them your interest, your curiosity. So there are a few tips for you. And if you would like to learn more and really get my support in how you can have healthier communication and effective communication, so you can feel like you're getting heard, you're getting understood, you're avoiding defensiveness and arguments, then I want to invite you to my free Rock Your Communication training. It's actually called the Rock Your Relationship Communication Training. And in this 4-day training, you are going to learn some solid communication tips that you can implement right away in your relationship. So each day, it's just about an hour a day of the training for 4 days, an hour a day of training. I'm going to give you some skills, 1 or 2 each day. I'm going to invite you to implement them. Go practice this with your partner, your kid, or your employer, or whoever, and then come back and report and ask your questions, and I'll help you troubleshoot what worked, what didn't work. And you're going to learn from each other, because it's a bunch of women learning together. There'll be hundreds of women in the program. It's totally free. Women are going to ask questions that you wish you had asked or that you didn't think to ask, and you're going to hear the answer that helped you. You're going to hear how other people are implementing the techniques that they're learning and realize, oh, I want to try that too. So you learn from each other. And that's what's so beautiful, is that we evolve together. And we don't have to do it alone. So the Rock Your Relationship Communication Training, again, is totally free. It's led by me. You're going to get some amazing communication skills so you can start transforming how you communicate and make the kind of connections you really want to make. So I invite you to click the link below, whether you're in Facebook or on YouTube or anywhere else, and get yourself a seat in that training. It's held live, and I encourage you to come live. If you can't make the live trainings, there will be options for replays for a limited time. But when you show up live, you're going to get so much out of it, because you're going to be watching the comment thread, getting a chance to ask me your questions, and learning on the spot with other people. And there are prizes every day. Every day I'm giving away a valuable prize. And I'm also going to give away one $2,000 reward for somebody who's fully participating throughout the training and playing in all the contests that I'm offering, which are basically invitations to practice the skills. So when you fully participate, not only could you win prizes, but you will also really integrate the skills I'm offering. So sign up for that Rock Your Relationship Communication Training. Don't delay. You're going to get a lot out of it. I've seen it change hundreds of women's lives, and it's totally free, at least this time around. Check it out in the link below. And if for some reason you miss it, you will see a different link for my communication checklist, also a super valuable tool. I hope to see you there. Bye for now.